In this final video, we will go through and just do a quick test, and I'll go through in a little bit more detail all the sort of options in this Houdini engine tab. Before we do that, just a quick change I made over in this. All these copy to points, all these two copy to points, need to make sure that you have pack and instance turned on. And this will just mean it won't create a new static mesh when it's copied, it will just instance the input. Then just make sure, save your asset. You may need to re-import and may even need to rebuild all instances. Cool. So let's go through these one at a time and what this all means. Transform, this is just your basic transform for the overall thing, pretty standard. I'm going to come back to this one. These are all the parameters we set up. Switch this up and we'll pay to come through and test all of your settings. Make sure they're all working correctly. Try and break it and see where it breaks, so you know if you sort of missed anything that needs fixing. But I'm not going to spend too long going through and adjusting all of these. Otherwise we'll be here for quite a while, but it's just some of the main ones, like this control, make sure it's working. Yeah, you can see most of these seem to be working. We've got our input tab. So these are the ones we set up. We've got our input for our two modules if we're using custom ones, as well as a landscape if we're using a collision. The outputs. So you can see this is what it's outputting. So right now it's made a temp one on disk. You can see I've got a couple in here. You can bake this one out if you'd like. Just hit bake. And then we can actually come in and swap this instance into here. And then it won't bake the temporary one out. It'll just use this one we've already baked to disk. This is the asset that it's using. Collision settings for the any meshes it creates. Static mesh options, physics options. And there's all your sort of basic options for that any Unreal sort of asset has. So if we come back up to the top, just some options to like recook and reset parameters. The useful one is this baking here. So we can bake this to actors, blueprints, foliage, or a world outliner. And we can choose to replace if we'd like. But I normally leave that off because I like to bake and then just hide the Houdini version. So now this is just an instant static mesh. You can see what it's referencing, the one we baked out before, and then all the different instances that it's created. And if we ever want to come and tweak this, just delete that and unhide. Great. And it does pay to come in and swap out this instance. So if we turn on the custom modules, insert both of them in, and come down to this instancer. We can see that it's trying to instance the temp file it's newly created. So it pays just to come in and swap. We need to fix the rotation on this. Just so if you decide to bake this out, it doesn't create a new static mesh every time you bake it. It'll just reuse this one that's already on disk. And that's basically everything. Hopefully everyone found this helpful as a quick start to sort of creating procedural assets in Houdini for Unreal Engine. And if you want any sort of further challenge, I would recommend taking the skills from this and trying to make your own style of fence. Just pick a completely different style and see if you can get that to work and build your own parameters and controls for it. Thanks everyone.